Hey guys, Peter here to do an EP review. This is a debut release from Barfbag, Plastic Age, out July 13th on Stay Gold Records. This EP has 5 tracks, 6 minutes in length, and this is a punk hardcore band made up of 3 incredibly talented musicians, David Basin on vocals, Brian Viglione on drums, and Kenny Carkeed on guitars. This release achieves one main goal, letting the world know exactly what this project is all about, what is going to be the sound, the lyrical content, the structure, the dynamics, and all the other characteristics that goes into the music that these guys are creating. I felt that this is an EP that works perfectly as a place setter for a full-length album that will come out later down the road. This allows the fans to understand everything that they're about, allows the fans to understand what their sound is going to be like, what is the message behind their music, and this will have an immediate impact on that full-length release, because going into that release, there is a sense of comfort, there's a sense of continuity, knowing exactly what you're getting yourself into, and it's not going to be as much of a shock, and this will allow a gradual growth for the band as far as the impact that they will have within the music industry, but within the fan base in general. Listening to this EP, the first thing that caught my eye was 5 tracks, 6 minutes. I was really taken back by that, because I was thinking, how can you put 5 tracks within 6 minutes? It really doesn't leave a lot of room. Then the moment I started listening to the album, I started to understand better the structure of the EP, the structure of the release, how they were putting these songs together, what was their goal, what was the ultimate goal that they had, and the choice of songs and how they were track listed, and all of these interesting dynamics that really make this a fluid release from the first song to the last, but also one that has growth built into it, and that it really shows the two sides, the two musical sides, or the two influential sides of the band, be it the punk side or the hardcore side. The release starts off with Pornocracy, a really abrasive punk anthem. This is perhaps the most punk song of all on this EP, and I felt that it was very powerful, very driven, very raw. It had a great energy, great fluidity, a track that just has a certain aura about it. It really has this live vibe feel to it, and a lot of that comes from the way the vocals are recorded, and I really like the vocals on this song. They're really on point on all aspects. The backing vocals really work well as this call and answer feel that they have, really giving that anthem vibe and that live feel that this song has. So this is a great track, really well constructed, really well put together, extremely dynamic, extremely fluid, but still having that punk raw feel to it, and that is something that permeates throughout this track and really makes it overall a punk anthem, if you will. Next is Morrissey Wears Leather Shoes, and that's it. A one-liner, one sentence, really short. At that point I started to understand, okay, this is what they're going to do. They're going to have a song, then they're going to have this intro, if you will, or this interlude, if you will, another song, another interlude, and then another track. Now I start to understand why 5 tracks, why 6 minutes. Everything started to make sense, and it started to fall in place, and I started to understand the overall message and vibe and direction that they were having with their songs, not just from a musical perspective, but also from a lyrical perspective. The next track really is the one that turns on the lights as far as the overall lyrical theme of this release, and that's Right to Fight Back. It's such a high-octane song from a musical perspective, mixing punk and hardcore. This is perhaps the song where you start to feel like these two worlds are coming together perfectly. You start to see elements of one, you start to see elements of the other, but the two of them really mixing well together to create a very hybrid track as far as the music, as far as the sound, as far as the structure, and definitely as far as the construction is concerned. The lyrics are definitely a snapshot of the social landscape in America right now, and that is something that you're going to get throughout the EP, but to me it became more obvious with this track. This is the one that it clicked for me, that I really started to understand what was happening, what was I listening to, and where was I going with this. So great track, really well put together, and the perfect segue, the perfect middle track on this EP. Next is Opinions Are Not News. This really hit me. I never thought about this line, and this is just a one-liner. I never thought about this before, but what a statement to make. I almost wish that they extended themselves a little bit more, and instead of making this a one-liner track, I almost hoped that there was more to it. I would really like to hear their thoughts on this subject, on this topic, because this is so true. And like I said, I never really thought about it until I heard it here, and then the moment I heard it, it clicked with me immediately, and now it's something that is going to become part of who I am and how I approach the news and how I consume the news. So I really enjoyed this one-liner. It was really impactful to me. I just wish that they had expanded upon it. I really feel like from this one line, you could have really created an important track that had an important message. Because I feel like more and more, when we turn on the news, we're not really getting the news. We're getting people's opinions on what's happening in the news. So this to me was really important. Like I said, I just feel like it should have been a little bit longer and expanded upon, because I really would like to hear their thoughts on this one-liner track. Last song is A Moment of Clarity Between. This is a very interesting way of closing off, because to me, this is the most hardcore song of all 5. This is the one where I felt that the punk elements were still there, but all in all, the way it's structured, the way it sounds, the way the vocals are put together, the way the lyrics are structured, everything about this track really felt to me more like a hardcore song, less like a punk track. But there's still punk elements in there, but a lot less. It started off, and this is the interesting growth that I mentioned earlier. The EP really starts off feeling very punk, and then as it progresses, it picks up more hardcore elements as it moves along. So there's this growth in the sound and the structure of the songs and how they're put together, and really gives this EP a little bit of a heartbeat, a little bit of a soul. You start to see where they started and where they're finished at 2 different places, and this is something important as they start to work towards their full-length album. But now this track, I really like it. It had a lot of strength to it. It had a lot of intensity, not only coming from the musical side, but also from the vocal side. But it offered different dynamics. It offered different perspectives, something that we didn't see as much up until this point. Up until this point, every song was straight to the point, straightforward. Like I said, perhaps more of a punk influence in those tracks. This one takes you a little bit more on a side journey, and that is perhaps that hardcore feel creeping in a lot more within the track. It had a really melancholic and somber moment in the middle. It has this really melancholic bridge that really changes the dynamic of the track, changes how you feel about it. It changes how it makes you feel about the lyrical content of the song before returning back into the aggression and intensity that it started off with. So to me, this is a really important track because it shows the growth that the band had from the first all the way to the last. It shows the difference in approaches, the difference in structure, and they're not afraid of taking chances. They're not afraid of creating songs that go outside of the norm a little bit, that go outside of the comfort zone of the punk hardcore genre, and infuse the song with a little bit more an emotional drive, having it be a more melancholic emotional drive, but nevertheless an emotional drive to how the song is put together and then how the song is delivered to the audience. This is it. This is Barfbag with Plastic Age. Once again, out July 13 on Stay Gold Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on this project, on the band members. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.